Hey everyone, what's going on? Today's commission build is going to be of the KBD75 V2. This is actually going to be the soldered version on KBD fans running around 129 USD for the full kit. It comes with everything that you see here, and I'm going to be breaking down, putting a spread layout of everything in just a little bit. Right out of the box, the case is pretty heavy, being full aluminum. It does have an acrylic mid layer, which is covered by this nice brownish plastic sheet. This does obviously come with a back weight that's removable. It's going to be aluminum as well, just like the case. So here's the full spread of all of the items that comes in the box. And let's go ahead and just go along with the build process. Let's start off with the rubber feet first. This build does come with 4 rubber feet that you can just attach to the little rivets on the bottom of the case, which are already indicated by those circles on each corner. So now that's done, we're going to go to just unscrew the aluminum back weight. This is actually quite hefty for just a small piece in comparison to the rest of the board, of course. Take that apart and set that aside. So once we've taken the case apart, I went ahead and just stripped the acrylic piece from its brown sticker. So let's take a look at the silver aluminum plate and the PCB. Again, this is not a hot swap board. This is actually a soldered board. So again, you'd have to individually solder each and every switch onto the PCB itself. This PCB comes with 16 LEDs on the underside of the PCB, of course, which gives it this nice underglow. And that's where the acrylic layer comes into place, and it diffuses that light throughout the board. It actually looks really cool, and you'll see that later on. I always like to start off with the stabilizers. I don't know what it is about stabilizers, but not only are they one of the most important things for the board, but I just really love making them sound as clean and crisp as possible. So I spend most of my time honestly on the stabilizers rather than the switches, surprisingly. So now we have the stabilizer housings, which I go ahead and lube with 205G0, a nice medium to light coating around the entirety of the inside, but I don't put any more on the stem, just to reduce any overlubing that might happen within the process. Just you know it's human error, so it happens all the time. You may put more lube on one stem than the other, so I kind of just want to mitigate as much of that as possible and just only lube the housings with 205 and then the stabilizer wires with dielectric grease. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little fancy, I like to put some 205 on the wires instead of the electric grease. But again, I feel like Kratox is getting more and more pricey nowadays, so I kind of just try to be frugal with the things that I have. So the electric grease it is, because it is fairly cheap and it still gets the job done. For those that don't know, the stabilizers go on the modifiers or the quote-unquote longer keys, so like a left shift, enter key, backspace, and then the long one goes for the spacebar, of course. So stabilizers can come in many sizes, right? So this one is going to be 2U or 2 units. Again, mainly for the left shift, again, depending on layout, left shift, enter, backspace. And then you have a 625 view and a 7U. Again, those are just depending on the spacebar and your specific layout. Some layouts or keyboards and PCBs support 7U, some don't. Some have something called split spacebars, which you might see around, that have 2U split spacebars right in the middle. So a lot of different variations with keyboards. So these are not clip-in stabilizers, these are actually going to be screw-in. So these screw in straight to the PCB with the washers that you see right above the PCB and 2 screws that go in each housing. So for today's build, we will be using the JWICK Ice Whites, which I purchased off of Divinity for $5.50 per pack, and each came with about 25. I did purchase these a bit before, so I did have extra, so I didn't need to purchase a whole bunch. Nonetheless though, these are probably one of the best bang for your buck switches, kind of alongside the spectrum of like a little bit better than, you know, Gator on Milk Yellows, and so on and so forth, right? So I would say these are a really great purchase for more budget boards, but at the same time, these feel and sound great. Alright, just as an edit, they are lubed with 205 and springs with 105. Okay, bye. So I went ahead and just put the switches on the plate. I believe I put 4 or 5 around the corners and just one in the middle to just secure the plate and the PCB together before I started to solder anything. I recommend doing this just so it keeps the plate and the PCB flush together, especially when you're putting all of the switches in at once. There's one thing I forgot to do though, was I forgot to check the stabilizers, but don't worry, I did it after this, after putting all the switches in there. And for the spacebar, you did see a pink top housing. That's actually from a banana split. One of the top housings broke on the JWICK, so I had a banana split lying around, had one left from the previous video that I did a couple months back, so I just threw that on there. So this is actually one of the more fun parts of the build process for me. I know a lot of people find soldering time consuming, daunting, scary, whatever. And it can be. I advise a lot of safety precautions when working with high temperatures like that. However, even though this is my first kind of mid-range budget build, I was really stoked to have it work. I tested this into my computer to test all the switches and everything worked fine. So I went ahead and just started to screw in all the screws that this board and kit came with. And I just got really excited for the end product. So just one thing I'd like to advise for anyone that wants to get into like the soldering part of the keyboard community is just to be careful. Make sure you have all the safety precautions you need, especially when working with high temperatures and such. The last thing you want to do is burn yourself. The keycaps that we'll be using is actually a white and black Japanese set with yellow for accents. I only put the yellow on the escape key, however, just to make sure it's kind of nice and uniform. This really works well with the black case and just makes it a really nice, sleek, and low profile design. So thanks again so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think down below, and let's listen to the sound test. Later.